What if you are God pretending to be a human? We have Alan Watts talking by Simply Art Inspired. Now really think about it, bro. Like, what if we're just God pretending to be human? What if we're just God experiencing having a human experience? I mean, after all, we are in the image of God. So I don't know, man. This is an very old Alan Watts video. So hopefully he gets into it. Let's get it. Let's get into it. You see what I'm saying? Hey.
Well,
Hey,
we're
bro.
still on the ferry boat Vallejo, my home, and as it happens to be a rather nice afternoon, we decided to come out onto the patio instead of working in the studio. I've been talking to you about the mystery of the curious
Oh shit! It's double recording. My fault, y'all.
sensation of nothingness that lies behind ourselves. First of all, I gave you the illustration of the blank space behind the eyes, about the silence out of which all sound comes, and about empty space out of which all the stars appear. And you'll remember that in the last talk, I likened this curious emptiness behind everything, to God, an imageless, non-idolatrous God of which we can have no conception at all. And I've also pointed out that basically, when you really get down to it, that emptiness is yourself. Now, it sounds very odd in our civilization to say, therefore, I am God, or for that matter, you are God. But you will remember, of course, that this exactly is what Jesus Christ felt. And he was crucified for it because in his culture, God was conceived as the royal monarch of the universe. And therefore, anybody who gets up and says, well, I am God, is blasphemous.
Blasphemy.
He's subversive. He's claiming to be, if not the boss himself, at least the boss's son, and that's a put down for everybody else. But Jesus had to say it that way because in his culture, they did not have, as the Hindus have, the idea that everybody, not only human beings, but animals and plants, all sentient beings whatsoever, are God in disguise.
We are all the divine experiencing itself within, basically in a human experience. The best way I could put it is awareness. That eye symbolism that everybody had, that everybody's seen, that eye symbolism, that is God. That is the awareness that is in your mind. That is the God aspect of us. That is the awareness, and that is God, basically. That is the universe, basically. That is God, the universe, the divine source, experiencing itself through you. So whenever somebody says that you are a God, I'm pretty sure people have other, ways of explaining that you are a God. But to me, that's the way I see it is. When somebody says, oh, you're a God, or you are the universe, it's basically that awareness, that aspect of yourself that is aware of all things, basically experiencing itself through you. And it's not only just through you, but it's also through other people. So that's what makes us all connected. That's what the collective consciousness is. The collective consciousness is that awareness that we all have, but it's spread out, experiencing itself through people, animals, plants. It's experiencing itself through multiple avenues, I guess you could say. That's what that collective consciousness is. But it doesn't strafe away from the fact that we are individual beings, but it's just through us being individual being. Once you get deeper into that, you understand that we're all connected, and that connection comes from our awareness of our individualism, our awareness, basically.
Now let me try to explain this a little more clearly, because I cannot help thinking of myself as identical with, continuous with, one with the whole energy that expresses itself as this universe. If the universe is made of stars, a star is a center from which energy flows.
Hello. Bro got a J in his hand? I did not know Ellen was get down like that, bro. Hello, he got a J in his hand? Phone him. Oh, Lord. Hey, man, don't let me get started, man.
In other words, there's the middle and all the rays come out from it. And so I feel that as the image of the whole thing, that all energy is a center from which rays come out. And therefore each one of us is an expression of what is basically the whole thing. Now therefore, whereas in the West, in the Jewish, Christian and Islamic religions, we have thought of God not only as a monarch, but as the maker of the world. And as a result of that, we look upon the world as an artifact, a sort of machine created by a great engineer. There's a different conception in India, where the world is not seen as an artifact, but as a drama.
The world stage.
And therefore, God is not the maker and architect of the universe, but the actor of it.
The actor, the director.
And therefore is playing all the parts at once.
Oh.
And this connects up.
The way I see it is like God, the way I see it, reality is kind of like, look, this is the world stage, bro. And God is the prop, God is the director, God is the actor. He is doing every job. He is the master, the puppet master with all this shit. He's just playing. He's playing, and we kind of like damn near fucking Lego sets to this, to God, basically. That's the way I see it. I guess, yeah, that's the way I see it though. It's like this whole world is a stage, and God is experiencing itself through every prop, every actor, and is also the director of the whole film. You see what I'm saying? It's like all three at once.
With the idea of each one of us as persons, because a person is a mask. From the Latin word persona, the mask worn by the actors in Greco-Roman drama. So this is an entirely different conception of the world, and as I think I shall be able to show you, it makes an amazing amount of sense. So we start from the premise that you don't know who you are. You can't see yourself, and as I pointed out, you don't know how you grow your body, how you make your nervous system work, how you manage to emerge in this environment of nature. And so this unknown you, the you that is not you, the you that is not the ego, this is God.
The awareness.
That is to say, not the cosmic boss, but the fundamental ground of being, the reality that always was, is, and will be, that lies at the basis of reality. That's you. Now, let's go into a more mythological kind of imagery. Suppose you are God. Suppose you have all time, all eternity, and all power at your disposal. What would you do? I believe you'd say to yourself after a while, man,
damn, that's real. If you was God, you have all eternity, all time. You're not governed by eternity. I mean, you're not governed by time. You're omnipotent. You can do whatever the fuck you want. What would you do? I think, to be honest, bro, I would just create. Like, literally, I'd just be creating in this bitch just to create. I'd just be creating just to create, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Because why not? Like, there's nothing else to do. You the only being with this amount of power, right? You the only being with this power. You're the only being that, like, you're the only being. Why would you not create to, I don't know, to, like, experience more things, to, you see what I'm saying? To like make shit interesting, I guess. You got all this power, you got all this. Why not? Fuck it. Do something, create something. Can't just sit there.
Get lost. It's like asking another question, which is, supposing you were given the power to dream any dream you wanted to dream every night. Naturally, you could dream any span of time. You could dream 75 years of time in one night, 100 years of time in one night, 1,000 years of time in one night. And it could be anything you wanted. You make up your mind before you went to sleep, tonight I'm going to dream of so-and-so. Well, naturally, you would start out by fulfilling all your wishes. You would have all the pleasures you could imagine, the most marvelous meals, the most entrancing love affairs, the most romantic journeys.
What's the point?
You could listen to music such as no mortal has heard and see landscapes beyond our wildest dreams. And for several nights, maybe for a whole month of nights, you would go on that way, having a wonderful time. But then after a while you'd begin to think, well, I've seen quite a bit. Let's spice it up. Let's have a little adventure. And therefore you would dream of yourself being threatened by all sorts of dangers. You would rescue princesses from dragons. You would perhaps engage in notable battles. You would be a hero. And then, as time went on, you would dare yourself to do more and more outrageous things. And at some point in the game, you would say, tonight I am going to dream in such a way that I don't know that I'm dreaming. So that you would take the experience of the dream for complete reality. And what a shock when you woke up. And you really scare yourself. And then on successive nights you might dare yourself to experience the most extraordinary things just for the contrast when you woke up. You could, for example, dream yourself in situations of extreme poverty, disease, agony. You could, as it were, work on the vibration of suffering to its most intense point, and then suddenly, whoop, wake up and find it was after all nothing but a dream and everything perfectly okay. And you would say, wow, man, that was a gas. Well, how do you know that that's not what you're doing already? You sitting there with...
This kind of reminds me of like lucid dreaming. Like lucid dreaming, not astral projection. That shit's two different things. But lucid dreaming. This is something I've been trying to do for like the longest, bro. And I don't know why, but every time I try to get close, man, that shit just, my dreams get blocked off immediately, bro. Mind y'all, I haven't been smoking since like early 2025. So it can't be no like result of weed or nothing. And it's not like I don't have dreams. I do have dreams. I had a beautiful one last night, but it's like anytime I try to control my dream, all else fails. But this reminds me of lucid dreaming, being able to control your dreams, or being able to I think it's just remember your dreams. I don't know if it's control. I think it's control your dreams. Lucid dreaming, controlling your dreams and being able to remember your dreams, like vivid remembrance of your dreams. And the few times that I've done it, in my experience, I haven't been able, like the first thing I will try to do is fly, but it never worked. Or like one time it did, but I got too excited and I woke up. But the second time I did it, it didn't work. But while I was in the dream, I didn't even like, to me it didn't matter. Like all I wanted to do was experience the dream. I wanted to experience what it was like being in the dream, walking around, like walking around, talking to people, getting to know people, all types of shit. That's literally what I wanted to do. And it was peaceful, bro. Like in the dream, I was what do you call it? I was in this like cabin place. It was fall and the weather was like semi-warm. Like it was like warm / like windy, and I don't know. It was just a peaceful dream. Like I didn't feel the need to try to control the dream or do something different with the dream. I just remember it being very vivid and waking up that next morning and remembering the whole dream. So it was like, that was pretty cool. So when he brought up this analogy of like God is basically a being dreaming of, you know, all these type of, you know, stories and, you know, all the basically dreaming these experiences, it kind of reminds me of something that we can do as well. Like, we can literally go to sleep, dream about, you know, whatever. We can dream about a whole new world that we've never experienced. We can dream about something that, you know, that can be, you know, certain people, they dream about things that help them with their career. You know, some people dream about creative endeavors, you know, that help them go one step forward into their career or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Some people get ideas from their dreams. But it just reminds me that, like, lucid dreaming, you could literally go to sleep, create a whole world of like whatever, and experience a life that is not experienced in this one. And this kind of reminds me of like Inception as well. Like, all of this, like, the dream world is crazy. Like, it is insane. And I would suggest y'all really like tap into lucid dreaming. Tap into, I wouldn't say astral projection. That's a lot. I've heard a lot of people end up going crazy trying to astral project out their body. But I say try lucid dreaming, you know what I'm saying? Really tap into lucid dreaming. It could be like a very eye-opening experience. And to be honest, it's cool to me. Bro, it's the coolest shit to me. It really is.
All your problems, with all your whole complicated life situation, listening to me, it may just be the very dream you decided to get into. If you like it, crazy. If you don't like it, what fun it'll be when you wake up. Do you see, this is the essence of drama. In drama, all the people who come there know it's only a play. The proscenium arch, the cinema screen tells us, well, this is an illusion. It is not for real. But the actors are trying to give us the sensation that it is for
What's
real.
good, Dom?
In other words, they are going to act their parts so convincingly that they're going to have us sitting on the edge of our seats in anxiety. They're going to make us laugh. They're going to make us cry. They're going to make us feel horror. Even though we know in the back of our minds, even though we have what in German is called a Hintergedanke, which is the thought way, way, way in the back of your mind that you're hardly aware of, but you really know all the time. In the theater, we have a Hintergedanke that it's only a play. But the mastery of the actor is that he is going to try almost to convince us that it's real. And so, therefore, imagine a situation where you have the best of all possible actors, namely God, and the best of all possible audiences, ready to be taken in and convinced that it's real, namely God, and that you are all many, many masks which the basic consciousness, the basic mind of the universe is assuming.
And this is the thing, like, bro, people be swearing up and down that, oh, I wouldn't say they not authentic, but they be swearing that they not putting on a mask. Like, bro, everybody is putting on a mask. Everybody's putting on a mask. If you have a personality, you are putting on a mask. Point blank, period. You are putting on a mask. The base, who you are at its core, yourself is just awareness. That's who you are at your core. It's yourself is just awareness. It's just beingness. It is just, again, awareness experiencing reality through you, through your body, through through your body, through your life experiences. You know, the good and the bad. That's who you are. When your persona or your personality comes from outside things. It comes from you, yes, but it comes from outside influences. You see what I mean? Your personality is formed through outside, is influenced through outside situations and circumstances. So that's the thing with me. Whenever somebody tries to get on a high horse and says, oh, I don't put on no mask, I have no mask, I'm just authentically me, that's a mask. Your personality is a mask. Even if your personality is, I don't give a fuck what nobody say, I'm going to be me, I'm going to say what I want to say, I'm going to say what needs to be said, that is still a mask that you're putting on. The goal, and I say this, the goal is to be aware of the mask. The goal is to be the awareness of the mask that you're putting on. Or masks. plural. The goal is to be the awareness, being aware of the mask that you put on or the mask that you put on. Some people have multiple masks. Some people, again, they're one way around their parents, they're one way around their friends, they're one way around a stranger, they're one way while they're at work, they're one way while they're at home, they're one way around their wife, they're one way around their girlfriend, they're one way around this, they're one way around that. They got multiple masks. They know how to play the field. They are they basically playing the role of God. They know how to experience different roles within this world stage. They know how to put on different masks in this world stage. And then you have some people who only have one mask. So-called. I don't really think nobody has one mask. They just, but probably fewer masks than the average person. They have fewer masks. They are them through and through. They have the same mask through and through. They're the same person through and through. You see what I mean? Yeah. I mean, again, none of them are wrong. Not one is wrong or one is, you know, better than the other. It's just, are you aware of the mask that you put on? Are you aware of your personality? Are you aware of your persona? You see what I'm saying? If not, then, I mean, you'll be sucked into this dream. You'll be sucked into this. You'll be so immersed into this, you know, experienced, and you'll take everything super serious. That's why you got so many people out here. Oh, bro thinks the world is, what do they be saying? Rainbows and sunshines and shit. Most people, they miserable because they identify with this world play. Now, I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, this world play don't get difficult. Like, there's not, you know, challenges and shit that happens. Like, I got things that I'm going through that make me upset. Literally, that stream, it pissed me off in the moment. But again, at the end of the day, once I wake up from that next day, I realize that all of this is a world play. It's a new day and it's a world play. So, baseline, man, baseline.
To use a verse from G.K. Chesterton, and now a great thing in the street seems any human nod where move in strange democracy the million masks of God. And of course, here it is. This is the mask of Vishnu, the preserver of the universe. And you see, it is a multiple mask to illustrate the fact that the one who looks out of my eyes and out of all your eyes is the same center. So,
same awareness.
If I look at another human being and I look straight into their eyes, isn't that curious? We don't like doing that. There's something embarrassing about looking into our eyes too closely. As if, don't look at me that closely because I might give myself away. You might find out who I really am. And what do you suppose that would be? Do you suppose that another person who looks deeply into your eyes will read all the things you're ashamed of, all your faults, all the things you're guilty about?
The shadow.
Or is there some deeper secret than that? The eyes are our most sensitive organ.
And that's where the soul lies.
And when you look and look and look into another person's eyes, you're first of all looking at the most beautiful jewels in the universe. And if you look down beyond that, you see, of course, it's the most beautiful jewel in the universe because that's the universe looking at you. We are the eyes of the cosmos. So that in a way, when you look deeply into somebody's eyes, you're looking deep into yourself, and the other person is looking deeply into the same self, which many-eyed, as this mask is many-faced, is looking out everywhere. One energy playing myriads of different parts. Why? Obviously, it's perfectly obvious. Because if you were God, and you knew everything, and were in control of everything, you would be bored to death.
You see what I mean? I told y'all, bro, like, that's a hard question to ask. Like, if I was God, nigga, I'd just create, because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. I wanted to make another correlation too. It's like, bro, look at the people who got all the money in the world. Look what they be doing. Look at the Epstein files. Look what they be doing. Bro, I'm trying to tell y'all, like, bro, like, once you get a certain amount of money, power, connections, you know, they got that whole saying that, oh my God, it's peaking. They got that whole saying, you know, he got more money than God. How basically once you reach a certain amount of money, like you damn near, in this world, you're God at it. Basically, once you got enough connections, I say once you got enough connections, power, money, status, you damn near God. You don't even need status to be real. It's just connections and money. But yeah, and then what do you see that they do, bro? They done everything. Once somebody get all that money, all them connections and money, bro, they done everything. Had the finest woman, had the finest dude. Pause. Done did everything. They done everything. Then what they do? They start doing. They start doing crazy shit for them. Like this what I mean. It's crazy, bro. So this is why, like, bro, like, to really be a God is like, that's a crazy responsibility. But to be real, it's like, damn, if you were God, would you even care about anybody? I don't know, like, this this is why we should not conceptualize ourselves with God. I wouldn't call myself God. I would just say that I am the manifestation of God. I have the ability to create. I have the ability to be aware of myself. I have the ability to experience different realities and possibilities and, you know, things like that. But I wouldn't outright call myself a God. I'll just say I'm a manifestation of God. See what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. It's crazy, folks. Truly.
As I said, it would be like making love to a plastic woman. Everything would be completely predictable, completely known, completely clear, no mystery, no surprise whatever. Look at it in still another way.
That's why them rich folk be wanting to do all that weird shit. They want that mystery, that spice in their life. Hey, man.
The object of our technology is to control the world. To have, as it were, a super electronic push-button universe where we can get anything we want, fulfill any desire simply by pushing a button. You know, you're Aladdin with the lamp. You rub it, the jinn comes and says, Salam alaikum, I'm your humble servant. What do you wish? Anything you want. And after a while of that, just as you would, in those dreams I describe, decide one day to forget that you were dreaming, you would say to the genie of the lamp, I would like a surprise. Or God in the court of heaven might turn to his vizier and say, O commander of the faithful, we are bored. And the vizier of the court would reply, O king, live forever, but surely out of the infinitude of your wisdom you can discover some way of not being bored. And the king would reply, O vizier, give us a surprise. You know, that's the whole basis of the story of the Arabian Nights. Here was a very powerful sultan who was bored. And therefore he challenged Sherazada to tell him a new story every night. So that the telling of tales, getting involved in adventures would never, never end. And that's, isn't it? Isn't that the reason why we go to the theater, why we go to the movies? Because we want to get out of ourselves.
And we want to experience different realities. Damn, that makes sense. That makes sense, bro. That makes 100% sense.
We want a surprise. And a surprise means that you have to other yourself. That is to say, there has to enter into your experience some element that is not under your control. So if our technology were to succeed completely, and everything were to be under our control, we should eventually say, we need a new button. In all these control buttons, we always have to have a button labeled surprise. And just so that it doesn't become too dangerous, we'll put a time limit on it. Surprise for 15 minutes, for an hour, for a day, for a month, a year, a lifetime. And then in the end, when the surprise circuit is finished, we'll be back in control and we'll all know where we are. And we'll heave a sigh of relief. But after a while, we'll press the button labeled surprise once more. So then, there's a curious rhythm to this, if you'll notice what I've been explaining, and this rhythm corresponds to the Hindu idea of the course of time and the way evolution works. And their idea is backwards from ours. First of all, Hindus think of time as circular, as going round. Look at your watch, after all, it goes round. But Westerners tend to think of time in a straight line, one-way street.
I think it's both, to be real. I feel like time is both linear and circular. So although it looks like this, representing there is nothing new under the sun, or wait, is that y'all screen? Yeah. Representing there is nothing new under the sun, things always repeat. I do believe it is spinning like this. So even though there's nothing new under the sun and all things repeat, it's repeating in a new way. It's just packaged differently. It's the same gift. It's the same experience. It's the same concept, just packaged differently. You notice with a lot of creative people, what do a lot of creative people do? They take inspiration from something back then, and then they reshape it into their own way. It's the same thing. That's how time moves. It's constantly doing this. It's this happened, it had its time, somebody comes in, and it happens again. Somebody makes something, it has its time, it shapes, somebody comes in, and then make it again, but make it in a whole new way. And then in this way, time is not stagnant, but it is constantly moving. It's constantly going and going and going and going, just repeatedly. It has its pattern. If you always notice, like, when you talk to older people, they'll tell you, like, time moves in patterns. Like, we had this when we was younger. It was called this. The world moves in cycles. Once something is created, it's bound to be created again, just in a different way. It's bound to. Nothing is new under the sun. It keeps happening. It's going to keep happening. But it's going to keep moving forward. Something new is always going to come to replace it, but make it better, or, to basically make it better.
And we got that idea from the Hebrew religion and from, in particular, St. Augustine. The idea that there is a time of creation, then a course of history which leads up to a final eschatological catastrophe, the end of the world, and after that the judgment, in which all things will be put to right, all questions answered, and justice dealt out to everyone according to his merits. And that'll be that. Thereafter, the universe will be, in a way, static. There will be the eternally saved and the eternally damned. Now, many of us may not believe that today, but that has been a dominating belief throughout the course of Western history, and it has had a tremendously powerful influence on our culture. But the Hindus think of the world as going round and round and round for always and always, in a rhythm. And they calculate the rounds in periods that in Sanskrit are called kalpas, K-A-L-P-A, and each kalpa lasts for 4,320,000 years. And so a kalpa is the period, or manvantara, during which the world, as we know it, is manifested. And it is followed by a period, also a kalpa long, 4,320,000 years, which is called pralaya. And this means when the world is not manifested anymore. And these are the days and nights of Brahma, the Godhead. During the Manvantara, when the world is manifested, Brahma is asleep, dreaming that he is all us and everything that's going on. And during the Pralaya, which is his day, he's awake and knows himself or itself because it's beyond sex or anything like that, for who and what he, she, it is. And then,
and I ain't gonna lie, I try to look up when was the last Kalpa. That shit say in the billions. Never mind. I think we'll be alright.
once again, press button surprise. And as in the course of our dreaming, we would very naturally dream the most pleasant and rapturous dreams first, and then get more adventurous and experience and explore the hot dimensions of experience. So in the same way, the Hindus think of a kalpa, of the manifested universe, of the Manvantara, as divided into 4 periods. And these 4 periods are of different length. The first is the longest, and the last the shortest. And they are named in accordance with the throws in the Hindu game of dice. There are 4 throws. The throw of 4, the throw of 3, the throw of 2, the throw of 1. The throw of 4 is always the best throw, like the 6 in our game, and the throw of 1 the worst throw. Now therefore, the first throw is called Krita. And the epoch, the long, long period for which this throw lasts is called a yuga. So we'll translate yuga an epoch, and we'll translate kalpa an eon. Now, the word Krita means done, as when we say well done. And that is a period of the world's existence that we call the Golden Age, when everything is perfect, done to perfection. When it comes to an end, we get Treta Yuga. That means the throw of 3. And in this period of manifestation, something is a little off. In other words, there's an element of the uncertain, an element of insecurity, and an element of adventure in things. It's like, you know, a 3-legged stool is not as secure as a 4-legged one. You're a little bit more liable to be thrown off balance. That lasts for a very long time too, but then we get next what is called Dvapara Yuga. Dva, that means 2. And in this period, the good and the bad, the pleasurable and the painful, are equally balanced. But then finally, in the end, there comes Kali Yuga. And this means Kali, the worst throw, the throw of 1, and this lasts for the shortest time. And this is the period of manifestation in which the unpleasurable, painful, diabolical principle finally takes over. But notice that it has the shortest innings. In other words, if you add up the periods of years which they assign to all the different yugas, you will see that the bad principle only has the stage for about 1/3 of the time. And at the end of the Kali Yuga, the myth goes on to say that the great destroyer of the worlds, God manifested as the destructive principle, Shiva, does a dance called the Tandava, and he appears blue-bodied with 10 arms, with lightning and fire appearing from every pore in his skin, and does a dance in which the universe is finally destroyed. There is that moment of cosmic death, which is, nevertheless, the waking up of Brahma, the creator. For as Shiva turns round and walks off the stage, seen from behind, he is Brahma, the creator, the beginning of it all again. And Vishnu, whose mask I have been showing you, is the preserver, that is to say, the going on of it all. The whole state of the Godhead being manifested as many, many faces. So, do you see that this is a philosophy of the role of evil in life, which is in a way rational and merciful. You see, if we thought God is playing with the world, He has created it for His pleasure, and He has created all these other beings than Himself, and they go through the most horrible torments. You know, terminal cancer, children being burned with napalm, concentration camps, the Inquisition, the horrors that human beings go through. How is that possibly justifiable under any system where we say, well, some God created it, and if a God didn't create it, and there's nobody in charge, and there's no rationality to the whole thing, but it's just a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing, then you're liable to say the only out is suicide. It's a ridiculous system. But suppose it isn't that. Suppose it's the kind of thing I've described to you. Supposing that it isn't that God has all these victims and is pleasing Himself, showing off His justice by either rewarding them or punishing them. Supposing it's quite different from that. Supposing that God is the one playing all the parts, that God is the child being burned to death with napalm. There is no victim except the victor. All the different roles which are being experienced, all the different feelings which are being felt by the one who originally desires, decides, wills to go into that very situation. Curiously enough, there's something parallel to this in Christianity. Very few people know about it. There's a passage in St. Paul's epistle to the Philippians in which he says a very curious thing. He says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who, being in the form of God, did not think identity with God a thing to be clung to, but humbled himself, and made himself of no reputation, and was found in fashion as a man, and became obedient to death, even to the death of the cross." You see, here you have exactly the same process. The idea of God becoming human, suffering all that human beings can suffer, even death. And St. Paul is saying, let this mind be in you. That is to say, let the same kind of consciousness be in you that was in Jesus Christ. Okay, Jesus Christ knew He was God. Wake up and find out eventually who you really are. Well, in our culture, of course, they'll say you're crazy or you're blasphemous, and they'll either put you in jail or in the nut house, which is the same thing. But if you wake up in India and you tell your friends and relations, my goodness, I've just discovered that I'm God, they'll laugh and say, oh, congratulations. At last you found out.
Yeah, to me, again, I feel like the whole saying with what he had with St. Paul's, the Philippians scripture part, that whole saying is like, be in the mind of what? I can't remember what he said. He said something of being in the mind is the same of Jesus, what humbled him, or something like that. Baseline, what I got with that is just Jesus realized that He's nothing but awareness. It's not something that that it is higher than somebody else, that's lower than somebody else. You can't really justify you being inferior or superior to somebody just because that you've realized that you're awareness. It doesn't do nothing but humble you even more, to the point where you realize, damn, like, all that I am is awareness. I'm awareness, experiencing having a human experience through this meat body through this meat body having a personality named such and such. And this meat body and this person is so complex because the meat body wants one thing and the emotions want something else. It's super complex. Yeah, man. That's the way I see it, though. God, source, the divine, whatever you would like to call it, it is just that awareness that is within us all. It is that awareness that is within every being, every person, every animal, every plant. It's within everything that's damn near living. Yeah. Good video though. Good video.